Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. It sounds like I've got a little extra step in my today. I do. You know, this is I finally got my truck back. You know, it's hard to go with one car and one phone. That's what we had for about 2 weeks here. My wife's phone went out, our home phone went out, and then of course my truck, the two little ladies that ran me off the road into an air conditioning unit, and never stopped. I've got it back, so I'm doing great. And now after we've talked tourism, let's talk about. John Gordon is ready. You got your questions prepared for this guy?
John has them in his head. He knows it all.
Well, you know.
I wouldn't know it. I don't know it all, Ron. But you know, I do. I do have some questions for Rob. You know, this part of the world is really some of the most famous duck call makers around. Came from right here in the South, especially West Tennessee.
Especially West Tennessee and the Reelfoot area primarily. So we've got a guy on our phone with us this morning, thanks to my good friend Rob Somerville. We're going to talk right now to duck call collector, avid waterfowl hunter, Rob Hurt. Good morning, Rob.
I lost you there for some reason.
You did? Well, so did my wife did for a couple of days there one time, too. So are we back? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes, sir.
All right,
and I've got good service.
Good. Well, don't worry. It wasn't anything important, probably, I said. So, no, we're just ready to talk a little waterfowl, a little duck call, and collectors
sounds
and things.
Sounds good. I can hear you great now, and we sound like we got a good connection, so
good.
I'm ready.
Good. Well, I know, Rob, tell our listeners a little bit about the collection side of what you do.
Well, I've been collecting duck calls since 1989. How I got involved in it was when I graduated high school. A couple of well-known duck call collectors actually gave me a duck call for graduation presents. Oh. And one of them was Son Cochran of Reelfoot Lake.
Yeah.
And he gave me a little note with the call and told me to put it up, that this call would be valuable someday. And I kind of just took a liking to duck calls, and since then I've amassed a collection of
how many?
Well over 1,000 calls.
Well over 1,000 calls. Wow.
Yes, sir.
How do you hang all those around your neck? That's what I want to know. You know?
It gets heavy. It gets heavy. And
well, it's just amazing. Again, we're talking to Rob Hurt, and I know Rob got into it in '89. And as John Gordon, you might not have heard from Avery, was talking about duck call, and you're into decoy collection too, right? Don't you have some?
Yes, sir. I collect all types of waterfowl related items, and I've encouraged a lot of people to get into it. There's some really good avenues for collecting out there if you can find what you're interested in.
And I know, how many duck calls do you have? John,
let's see,
Gordon?
Larry. It's not that many. Nowhere near what
you're
Rob
not,
has.
You're not a collector.
I've got 20.
20
in that range, yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to ask Ron Wong because he
20 is a good collection. I mean,
that's it.
Especially if it's the right calls. I mean, there's some calls out there that are worth upwards of $50,000.
$50,000. Okay. Now you have got some calls. And you do what you do is pretty cool as far as you have a collector's corner in Rob Somerville's Southern Traditions Outdoors magazine, which I've seen a copy of. And so, how does someone get involved in just like that? Is that the way it starts? Somebody hands you something and it goes from there.
I try to tell people. I give them 3 or 4 bullet points on how to get into collecting. It doesn't matter if it's duck calls or whatever, but, I always suggest that you collect what you're interested in, and then you try to learn as much about that and find a particular kind of call. For instance, if you're collecting duck calls, a Reelfoot Lake style call or an Arkansas style call, and then learn as much about that as you can. there's lots of good information out there, and there's lots of good groups that you can join, like the CCAA. That's the Custom Call and Collectors Association.
So there are organizations for this, and I think you mentioned earlier, or on the video I saw, and folks, you can go to YouTube and find some good stuff on Rob that you mentioned, Johnny Marsh. Now that's the old metal reed call collector.
That's right. He was from Nashville, Tennessee. One of the renowned duck call makers of his era. And I have 168 Johnny Marsh duck calls.
Wow. I'm reading here 148. You done got 20 more, so since I printed this thing out.
I picked up a few here and there.
Yeah, a few here and there. So is this what you wanted to do growing up, and what's your real life?
Well, I own a industrial recycling company.
Okay.
And I get to travel all over the country. So I have, since then, opened an antique store in Trimble, Tennessee. And
all right.
I get to pick up all kinds of neat Mantique-related items.
Mantique,
that's
it.
And it's kind of been a good avenue for us. Guys like the guys' stuff. So we tend to pick up hunting and fishing-related items, and it goes hand in hand with what I love doing.
And you mentioned the magic word Mantique, not antique. Mantique.
That's right, Mantique.
Is that such a word, or did y'all just invent that?
I don't know if it's Rob Somerville came up with that word.
Okay.
He's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah,
But
I like
anyway.
the Mantique part of it. Again, we're talking to Rob Hurt. Of course, I know a certain family and have known for many, many years the family of the legendary Earl Dennison. And
yes, sir.
I know his granddaughters and nieces and things along that line. Because, as far as I know, he's one of the originators, wasn't he?
He was the duck call man. That's what he was known for. And there has been so many people influenced by his style and his tone of duck call making. His calls are phenomenal. He was right there from New Bern, Tennessee.
Yes, that's right.
And people like Glenn Scobie.
That's another one.
Lots of people have learned or were influenced by his style of duck call making.
All right. So not only this, but there is, anything with antique. I watched the Antique Roadshow. You ever watch? Y'all guys ever have seen that? They go in the back of these houses and they find stuff like that and bring them out, and they bid on them and things like that. How do you know if a duck call is worth more than what you pay for it?
Well, I mean, there again, there's lots of variables involved as far as who made it, the condition, how old it is, how rare it is. You've got some call makers from the 20s and 30s who only made a few calls.
Yeah.
Lots of them came from the Arkansas area, and they're worth some major, major money.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking major money, upwards of $20,000 a call.
Wow.
And it's hard to say. You have to trust someone. You have to find a reliable collector or dealer or someone. Go to a trade show. Learn. So make some good contacts. That's how I suggest, finding out what your calls are worth or what calls are valuable.
Well, you mentioned here that J.T. Beckhart, Arkansas
Yes,
call, hand carved. One of Mr. Beckhart's calls sold at auction for $162,000.
Wow.
That's correct.
Man.
It sold. It was like $130,000, and with the juice and everything, it was $162,000. Is what that call went for.
Yeah, and you ended up buying one of his calls, and you made a little money on it too. So
I've owned several of his calls, and there's a wide range of his calls. He had a standard call that was carved, and he made duplicates of this carved call.
Yeah,
and those calls are in the $8,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 range. But the one that he made, this special presidential call, it sold at auction for $162,000.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, John Gordon, wake up there. That's
well, it's a little hard to wrap your head around that a call could be worth that much, but it's amazing in the world of art, and that's what duck calls are.
It is an art.
They're art.
It is a folk art for sure.
It's a folk art. And I know that you're a busy guy, and I guess I know you're always at the big event in the fall. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I travel to 8 or 10 hunting and fishing related shows a year.
Wow!
And that's where I make lots of contacts. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I've met some phenomenal people in this industry and built some relationships that I would never have had if it hadn't have been for a simple love of collecting hunting-related items.
Well, before I want to at the Tennessee Outdoor Writers Conference, I got a chance to get some of the new synthetic lubricant called 80 Below. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's another part of your you and Rob's Rob and Rob. I guess y'all gonna have you can have your radio show.
Yes, sir.
But
the 80 Below, it's a new synthetic product that we came out with. It was developed for hunters by hunters.
Yeah.
Basically, what it is, we got tired of when you're in the field, you spray a lubricant in your gun. Well, dirt or dust or whatever would adhere to that lubricant. And it would cause your gun to jam up. Well, what we invented was a dry lube, I guess is what you
what it is.
Like to call it. We'd like to call it. It's when you use it in the field, no dust, no debris will adhere to it. So you have a great action with this product.
It is, and folks. So tell them, Rob, how they can get information about that, and a little bit where they can find some more information about Collector's Corner and other things like that. The 80 Below, is there a website for that or information?
There is a website. It's 80below.com.
Okay.
There again, you can,
it's a neat product. I'm telling you.
It is. I mean, it's something
carry along with you. I mean, just put it in your bag.
It comes in gallons. It comes in sprays. It comes in little droppers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly. I'm not just saying this. I'll give you an example. I've got an A5 shotgun that I hunted with, and I'd have to clean it every night.
Yeah.
If I wanted it to work the next day. Well, I use this stuff, and I only cleaned it one time, and I hunted 54 days last year. So it's a true testament that the product works.
Wow! Did you hear that?
We've got a lot of, it's out there on the market. You can look it up, 80 Below. There's I don't want to go through all the places that sells it, but it's out there.
It's out there. Well, Rob, thank you, buddy, for taking time to be with us on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll stay in touch, and maybe we get closer to the big fall events and things like that. We'll talk to you again, okay?
That'd be great. Love talking to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Have a great day.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Let's take a break, because that was pretty cool. 80 Below.
80 Below. I'm going to try some of that.
Yeah, well, I'll get you some. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, you can buy it if you want to, so that's all right. No.
Well, if you're going to get me some, Larry,
yeah,
I'll take that.
I think he'll take that, So, all right, let's take a break. We'll be right back, and I'm sorry, we're going to talk fishing again. We're trying to rotate that.
It's okay. It's the summer, man. I understand.
All right, we're going to Dunlap, Tennessee on Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790.
You can find out all about